A condom and a banana.
Oh,
you know what that
God.
means. Of course, it must be time for sex education, if you can call it that. Add a red-faced adult trying to justify the rhythm method and a leaflet about sexually transmitted diseases, and you've got what's offered in UK schools. Well, this week, more than 30,000 people have signed yet another petition calling for the government to do the logical thing and make sex education compulsory. Right now, it's only mandatory in secondary schools, not academies. But parents reserve the right to remove their children from these lessons, which is a scenario often played out in faith schools. No one wants to talk to children about sexting or revenge porn, but some of our children are exposed to these things every day. Of course, parents play a huge role, but our teachers also need to help look after our young in an increasingly sexualised digital world. The concept of consent has never been more important to explain to children, alongside how to do long division.
Well, I thought my first instinct on this was because I was educated mainly in the private system, although boarding schools and some state schools as well. I don't remember having a single minute of sex education or SRE, sex and relationships education. In fact, I don't know many British men who actually dare use the word relationship when it comes to their relationships with women. But then I thought, actually, can we leave it to parents to do this? However shonky sex education is in schools, because I was trying to remember who told me about the birds and the bees, and I seem to remember when I was about 10 being driven back to boarding school by my father with Boris sitting in the front seat and I was sitting in the back, and he went and the windscreen wiper was doing this. It was raining Sunday evening, and he said, your mother has asked me to talk to you about, and we went, stop! Like this, and he thought we went, stop the car. We wouldn't let him go on. It was just too embarrassing. Okay, we didn't want to hear it, so we just didn't want to hear it from our dad.
More dangerous if Boris had given you lessons.
He was 11. He was 11. Calm
It's interesting
yourself.
that you remember the rhythm of the windscreen.
Oh, I remember just being
quite
really
telling,
horrified.
isn't it?
So maybe it is better for teachers to do it. Maybe it should be mandatory. But my slight hesitation is, you see your chemistry teacher or your lovely English teacher, and then you have to have a conversation about the rhythm method or something.
Can I just bring up some
Isn't that a bit complicated?
Yes, and so teachers need real support. But let me ask you,
Wouldn't you have teachers specifically for this?
When do you think the guidance, so bearing in mind it's not compulsory sex education, but the guidance given to teachers to do a very difficult lesson, when do you think it was last updated?
I don't know.
1869.
Not far off. It was 2000. It predates Facebook. It predates the internet as social media. And just wait. Another thing to put into your mind, 28% of 11 to 18-year-olds say that porn dictates their view of sex and relationships.
Yeah.
A large proportion of girls specifically think they have to behave like porn stars, porn that they've seen online that they wouldn't have been able to see out easily before 2000.
Yeah.
There is a huge shift change in the way
Because
that
people
sexualised.
have much more access to explicit porn as well. It's
Yes.
not thumbing through a 1970s magazine.
Yeah.
It is explicit, and
I had
it can
National
be.
Geographic.
It can be. Yeah, exactly.
I have an observation
Go on.
and a question. The observation is, define child. At what age are you saying? And the
I'm saying
question
11.
is, can I have that
I think
banana when you
younger.
finish?
Right, well,
I don't need the other.
This belongs to someone on the team, so let's just leave that for them later. And yes, you can have my banana.
But what's a child? Define a child.
11.
What age?
11. Yeah, I would
So-
say
11's
11
far too
onwards.
old. Far too old,
11.
I think.
I
Should
think
we
you
be
can
looking
go...
at
They're
young...
looking at porn at 7
Sorry,
or something.
possibly.
No,
but we're
no,
talking
in
about
your world,
we're
I want
talking
to know-
about compulsory.
No, but so you're calling for a massive review. So
yeah.
what age would you start to drip in some form of sexual...
Definitely younger. I would say probably sort of 7 or 8.
Okay, thank
but
you.
I would say compulsory sex education to a level which I'm really talking
What, 1
about.
hour a week? What are we talking?
Well, hang
Who's
on.
paying?
Well, that's in the,
How are we fitting it into
details,
the
though, isn't
curriculum?
it? Can I just say...
Yes, you've had a say.
Right.
You have a say.
Can I just say that there are... Your point, you make absolutely valid points. It's got to be updated. It has to be mandatory. It's not for parents to...
It is mandatory now. It has to be compulsory.
Parents have
it
to
has
be on board and
Listen,
reinforce
of course,
it.
parents.
Yeah.
I'm going through this at the moment with my children.
So what do you
one's 13
think?
and one's 17.
What, you're just getting
have
sex
had,
education?
They've had fantastic sort of exposure to sex education through their school, and in terms of the conversations, and
is it a state school?
We can no, it's a private
school,
but they are very relaxed about talking about it, but they've still got that bit of
with you
parental, like not quite sure. But I want to show you this because we need to revolutionise the way we deliver sex education because it should be fun, it should be light, it should be something that you can talk about. And there's a brilliant video that my children showed me where it replaces sex with having a cup of tea and compares it. And there's this pencil man animation that I just want to show you this one clip about consent.
Yeah, this is good.
If they're unconscious, don't make them tea. Unconscious people don't want tea, and they can't answer the question, do you want tea? Because they're unconscious. OK, maybe they were conscious when you asked them if they wanted tea, and they said yes, but in the time it took you to boil the kettle or brew the tea and add the milk, they are now unconscious. You should just put the tea down, make sure the unconscious person is safe, and this is the important part again, don't make them drink the tea.
So good.
You know, that's a very small. That's a small clip.
Totally. I've got lots of tea.
Well, now I'm usually bringing you tea.
That's a cigarette.
I've learned in 2 days not to ask my wife out loud in front of the kids for a cup of tea. But the point is with that is that it's a 2.5 3 minute video, and it basically the issue of consent, which is massive. Obviously, at the moment,
particularly because of all this porn,
and what it does is it just tones it down. It makes it a bit more enjoyable. But the message sticks. And my kids, they actually, when I said we were doing this subject, they brought it up. I didn't bring that up. They went, look at this video. It's really good fun, and we get it.
Emma, can I ask you one question? I'm an Orthodox Jew, or I'm a really, really devout Muslim.
What's your view on
You're going to force my child against all my religious beliefs.
For faith schools, you said.
I think no, but I think faith schools should be forced to have sex education.
This is like the burkini, then, isn't it?
I completely disagree with
This is the burkini, isn't it?
Why should people...
We know better than you do. This is really... You want the state...
I think children in faith schools... I actually went to a faith school till I was 7 years old.
Okay.
And I have got...
But you didn't go to an Orthodox faith school, though, did you?
No, it was a Jewish school. I went to a Jewish school till I was 7 years old, and I'm going to say to you...
But there are different types and different levels of faith school.
Let me finish the point. I have to tell you that, first of all, having been to one, I'm very, very conflicted about how I feel about them generally. But what I would also say is, I think that in that respect, there is a duty of teachers and the state to fill in the gaps that parents won't do.
So you know better than parents?
I do think we do on this.
The state knows better than the parents?
Yeah, on this.
I think
One third of students have reported being sexually harassed at university. We're about to hit Freshers' Week. Sexually harassed on an evening out.
Right.
People do not understand consent in this country. People do not understand how things are working. Porn is the... Sorry, so just let me say one point. Porn is the sex education of the 21st century. And whether you're a Jew, a Christian or a Muslim or nothing, you deserve the right as a child to be fully equipped with the information.
If a child is being abused in his own home,
if a child is being sexually abused in his own home or her own home, and there's nothing at school that tells him this is wrong, who will tell him?
What's his reference point?
Thank you.
Exactly.
But the thing is, Nick, I mean, I think that's a very simplistic argument to say that the state knows better than the parent. Well, the state, in lots of areas, needs to support...
No, she's saying the state knows better than the parent.
Didn't say it like that.
Sort of.
But the conflict there, I believe, is that in lots of areas, the state needs to support parents, and particularly around sex, I think it's a taboo subject still. It's something that parents and children don't like to talk about and share with each other. So you do need an external provider for that.
You do.
And actually, I do think if it's done in the right way, if it's not done in a way that sort of shows human sexual organs. You can deliver sex education without it, I think, offending people. I really do. At a certain age is important and the content's important.
I didn't get a sort of proper sex education until I was about 30, when I dated an Indian tantric master. And
I'll tell you what,
taking it to a new level.
You've got the banana.
Whoever won this debate got that.
and in his culture, which is actually quite interesting, basically what happens is at 11, the mother teaches the son. It only happens mothers to sons, but teaches the son sort of, the ins and outs of lovemaking via the Kama Sutra. She also doesn't,
But not everyone's got a mother who's going to teach them the Kama Sutra.
No, but my point is, I think culturally we need to be much more open with this stuff. But when it comes to sort of faith schools, you've lost me on that one.
I knew I would.
Yeah.
I predicted
Was
that.
it Sting?
What do you mean,
Was it
Sting?
Sting?
No, it wasn't Sting.
Have you got his number?
Yeah, I'll give you his number
Tantric,
after.
yeah.
What I like is whenever I bring these subjects up, I can all trust you to take them very seriously, which is important. And Nick,
No, I don't.